TradeRocket deals primarily in kind of what we would call the B2B payment side, right? This is buyers and suppliers, the interaction of the supply chain, right? So for us, it's very interesting to understand how technology and thought is occurring today in the consumer side. What we find out is what happens on the consumer side moves to the B2B side relatively shortly thereafter, right? And so the tools and the widgets that are going to be used today to support greater functionality for us as consumers, we find businesses adopting those, and some of them have to use those to interact with the consumer. But at the same point in time, some of those are just tools that later on become just as functional and just as usable for business-to-business type transactions. We want growth. Everybody wants growth, right? And so we wrote a platform that connects buyers and suppliers and puts a funder in between them to support increased working capital for both of them. Okay, and so, if we can be successful, we serve the mid-market in the States here, 25 million in revenue, kind of the 500 million in revenue, right? Today, that's been a market that's been very difficult for funders to serve because they don't quite understand the risk of that marketplace, right? Our intent at TradeRocket is to open up, give them visibility into the true risk of that transaction so they can price that transaction appropriately. If we are successful, we will open up a wave of funding to the mid-market that hasn't existed in this country for probably 10 years, okay? So when I say growth, growth for TradeRocket means growth for our mid-market in this country, which means an increase in jobs, an increase in opportunity. Companies that need to grow can grow. I want to add to that. It's interesting where the innovation conference here, the mid-market is really where a lot of the innovation and change comes from, right? Large companies like Walmart, Target, these kind of guys, they buy from suppliers that are in the mid-market. Mid-market has to figure out how to sell to someone like Target. Target doesn't have to figure out how to buy from a smaller supplier, right? That causes the supplier, it forces the supplier to a greater innovative thought process. I have to figure out how to deal with this huge behemoth to get my product to him, right? To sell my product to him. So at TradeRocket, if we can facilitate that innovation in the mid-market through getting that business increase in working capital, we believe we can kind of lift the economy on that. So we're really excited about that. And so for the next 12 months, boy, putting more of those buyers and suppliers on our platform, we think it's a win-win for everybody.